Hello, my name's Linda Maslin and I'm the leader here at Fountains Church, Bradford. Welcome to our building, which you wouldn't believe perhaps was actually originally nightclub buildings. At times there was 3 or 4 nightclubs here. By the time we got to the point of buying the building, unfortunately it had been turned into just such a messy state. There were lots of drugs paraphernalia, all of the lighting and heating had been wrecked out. Anything that could have been sold was sold. And so this was really quite a dark space. We know that drugs were run from here, we know that arms were run from here, we even know that people were trafficked from here. And all the time that we were going through the process of buying the building, negotiating with the council over lease, we prayed and we prayed that there would be a time when we would start and see the people who had been damaged by this building coming into a place of light, being healed and coming into a living relationship with Jesus. And I'm really delighted that we are beginning to see some of those things taking place now. Well, it's been quite a journey. So as we started out 3 years ago, and we didn't have anybody who was really our congregation, we had to start right from square one with a group of people who initially gathered together to pray. And then gradually we moved into Sunday worship. We didn't have a building, so eventually we got the building that we're in now. And over the 3 years we've been doing up that building in phases. We're about halfway through. So it's turned into quite an exciting space. You can see the auditorium behind us, and we've got a cafe, and we've got another area which we call the hub, where all sorts of our children's activities happen and the work that we do with those who are suffering from mental health illnesses and things like that takes place. So as I said, our congregation started off really small, and now on a Sunday we get up to about 100 people in our congregation. But we've also got other congregations that have started here as well. So we've got a wrestling church, which everybody always raises their eyebrows at. We've had 3 of those now where what we're doing is using professional wrestling. So that's a little bit like pantomime. It's all about telling stories to tell the good news of Jesus. And in that we've seen people coming to faith, and we've had 2 baptism services. We've also got a fresh expression of church called Saturday Gathering, which is where we've been working with people who perhaps have had really, really challenging backgrounds, and they're the people who might spend a lot of time out on the streets for whatever reason. They come together and we have food, and again we tell the gospel stories in really simple ways. So our community kitchen was probably one of the first things to get going here, because obviously the 3 years that we've been running as a church, 2 of those years we've been in COVID. And one of the first things that we were able to do actually was to start to provide food for people in the community. And initially we did that by serving takeaway food that people could take away. And then gradually people could come into the kitchen and find community around the tables, which has been really fun. We began to build relationships as well. We're a city centre church, so we have lots of connections with the police, with the housing association, those who do housing outreach on the streets, the Department of Work and Pensions doing benefits, all sorts of agencies. And as we connected with them, they asked us whether actually they could use our kitchen as a means to draw people together, to provide a one-stop shop for support. So for some of the people that we have been working with, it's really quite challenging if they've got to go, first of all, to housing, and then they've got to go to DWP to talk about their benefits, and then they might have to go somewhere else to talk about their health. And what we've done is on a Thursday, we gather together all of those great agencies. They come to one spot, and then our people can come along and have food, and at the same time deal with whatever the issues are that they have at that moment in time.
The Church of England's idea of a resource church is not to create a shiny church, as some people might call it. The House of Bishops, in their statement on church planting, that said that church plants that aspire to become resource churches must have a clear mission, strategy, and must have a clear plan for planting. So Fountains Church was planted to become one of a network of churches across the city. We already have a network of churches in the Diocese of Leeds, in the Bradford Episcopal area. So Fountains was planted to help to address some of the areas that those churches weren't reaching, especially city centre ministry and young adults. So the hope is that Fountains Church will become a strong city centre church with a strong young congregation that, as is the case with city centres, as young people come in and then move out, that the Fountains Church congregation will be a resource to the churches that are around the city. So that might take the form of different partnerships. So the first one of these has been with St Margaret's Freising Hall. Nathaniel Poole, our associate leader, has now spends half of his time in Freising Hall, and that is one expression of how a church that is called to be a resource church, such as Fountains, can become a resource church through an intentional missional strategy. It's very tempting to think that resource churches, or shiny churches as I've said, have got it all sussed. We tend to be quite good at front presenting things. Our social media feeds tend to be quite good. Our live streaming of services tends to be quite good. But if you scratch below the surface, you'll realise that we don't actually have the depths of maturity that many existing churches have. So one way in which our partnership with St Margaret's Freising Hall has become mutual, in that we've been receiving wisdom from some of the leadership team at St Margaret's Freising Hall, especially recently in the form of financial advice, as we learn to adapt and to put in place the systems that we need to be the sort of organisation that we're becoming.